Hey everybody, thanks for joining me. I'm Selena, your host of Close to Death, powered by Fear Paranormal Society. And tonight I have been awaiting this guest for quite a while. It's kind of tough with the time differences that we're in. But without further ado, I'd like to bring on my guest, Robb Demarest. Hey Robb, what's up?
What's going on?
Hey.
What is up? I'm trying to turn off my fountain because otherwise everyone asks if I'm peeing during an interview, which I try not to do. All right. And on that note, how's everyone doing?
Everyone, I think, is excited that you are on. And just for everyone to know, this has to be pre-recorded because of the time difference. And we're not going to tell you where Robb is. It is a very much of a secret. So I wanted to say that, first off, he's been on Ghost Hunters, Destination Truth, Ghost Hunters International, Haunting Australia. What are you up to right now?
Right now, just sitting on my couch. I was checking. Oh, no. You meant like more in general terms.
Exactly.
No, I did Haunting Australia. I finished that last year. I've got a couple shows coming up. The irony is I can't really say much about any of them.
Wow. Yeah, they'd have to kill you.
Huh?
They'd have to kill you.
You've heard about these networks, huh?
I have.
They're pretty tough.
Yes. I actually...
Yeah, so in the meantime, what I'm doing is, just trying to make sure that my equipment is up to snuff. I just had a couple grand worth of gear arrive yesterday, so I'm still putting batteries in it. And, I wish my house was haunted. It would make things so much easier.
Yes, to test.
You know what I mean? Like, you get all this equipment, and you just wander around with it. Yeah, okay, the K2 meter goes off by the TV, so I guess it works, but anyway, what can you do?
Yeah, so let me guess. Did you get a lot of Paranologies equipment when you got that all yesterday?
Say again?
Did you get some Paranologies equipment in with that good stuff?
Paranologies was about 75% of it, actually. What happened was, when I shot Haunting Australia, I had a big order from Paranologies, and it got bounced around between like 4 countries before it got to me. And it took a beating. And so I wasn't able to use as much of it as I wanted to. So I said for the next round, and the good thing is a lot of the stuff that I ordered for Haunting Australia has been updated. There's even newer versions. He's got a device, as you know, called the TriCam, which the TriCam I used to have. It's a good thing I'm in the gym every day because that thing was heavy.
Yes.
It was a beast. So the new one is incredible. It's not much heavier than an iPad.
Right.
And it's an incredible device as far as being able to document where everything is in the room. For those of you who haven't seen it, check out Paranologies.com, TriCam. It's got 1 camera aiming at you, the investigator, 2 looking forward to give you a 180-degree view of everything in front of you. Great for investigation as far as knowing where everyone is, being able to document there was no one else present. So obviously, I'm always a big fan of Paranologies and what they're putting out.
Yeah, definitely. I used to help put those little periscopes and stuff together with Jeremy, and then when he moved away, I was like, dude, that is just so far for me to drive. And now he's updated everything, so I couldn't tell you the first thing about what goes in a periscope anymore because he keeps changing it, and we like it like that. You have to stay updated.
You really do.
Yeah, you have to, because if not, you're behind the times. You're still messing with, an old K2, and that's about it. Let's update. Let's try some new scientific ways of finding out their location or their movements or whatever. I love.
Don't get me started, Selena. Don't get me going on people just doing the same thing over and over and over.
Yeah.
That'll be your entire show, is just me complaining about people doing the same old thing. I'm telling you, there's a lot of people out there. I like to start a radio interview and make sure I offend people right off the bat. There's a lot of people out there. We'll make it akin to fishing. These people are going out fishing. They got their latest reel, and it's beautiful, and it's shiny, and it looks great. And they go out on the lake, and they can see the fish jumping, and they tie a rock to the end of that line. They hook a rock on, and then they throw it in the water, and they say, there's no ghost here, or there's no fish here. because they put a rock on the end. If you're using equipment that doesn't work, you are the one making the mistake.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if it's like fishing, you tried a rock, you tried tying a spoon to the end of the line, no fish bit that. You got to keep trying something new.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's one of my biggest complaints about investigators out there is a lot of them just go do the same thing over and over.
Right.
And then they're confused why we don't get anywhere.
That's why I've changed my you know, I got really tired of, and I'm not knocking anybody because to each his own, I'm just saying that I got really tired of asking the same questions. It's like we have this, I mean, the spirits have got to get sick of, what's your name? When did you die? What did you die from?
Can you knock twice?
Yeah. Let's scratch on something. I mean, it's just the same crap, and it gets boring to me. And I'm too ADD to be sitting there doing the same shit. So I have to switch it up a little bit. And what I've done is now, okay, I can't help Billy Bob that died in 1915. Okay, I'm sorry, and I'm glad I'm speaking with Billy Bob. But can you tell me what it's like where you're at? How was the journey to get there? Do you get to see your loved ones? Things like that I want to know. You know what I mean? I want to know how all this happens.
Exactly. And that's, you know, whether it's your EVP approach, whether it's the equipment you use, whether it's the locations you choose, you know, my message stays the same. Try something different.
Yeah. I mean, anything, you know, I mean, trigger objects, air cues, whatever works, but don't do the same thing. And
oh, is that what you guys call them in Texas? Air cues. Because I remember when we did the exact same thing on GHI about a year before that, and we called it Singapore theory. Hey!
Really?
I like starting a little, hey, I'm not one to shy away from para beef these days, apparently. So, you know, that one always, look, I met the Kling brothers. I think they're great guys. Singapore theory, I believe Barry Fitzgerald first did it in New Zealand in like 2007. And people have been doing it for like 20 years. And it's just trying to make the environment something that the spirit might recognize. And the reason it was called Singapore theory was because SPI, Singapore Paranormal Investigators, were doing it at a Ford factory in Singapore. And I read about it, and I told Barry about it, and we tried it on GHI. So anyway, 5 minutes later, Singapore theory predates air cues, and there was 1 million people doing it before us, too.
Huh. All right, well, that's interesting to know.
Huh.
Wow, you learn something new every day. You know, I know. The funny thing is that I started watching after you know, when my paranormal interest was peaked, was after my mom passed away, and then I started, you know, I was depressed, and so I spent Friday nights, that's all I freaking did. And then when I would get on the internet and watch the shit that wasn't on TV, you know what I mean? Anything paranormal. And, you know, I learned a little bit from Barry and Brad, and I learned a little bit from, you know, GHI, and I learned a little bit from the Ghost Hunters, and I even learned a little bit from you know, Ghost Adventures, but I'm not saying a whole lot. But more of what I don't.
I'm not touching that one. I'm not touching that one.
We're not going there. But anyway, you know, you learn from each person you watch. You know, even if it's what not to do.
Sure, absolutely.
So I tried the proverbial let's get everything shook out of the walls and get some EVPs, and that kind of was like, you know what? I don't like that aspect of it. I kind of want to go the respectful route, because what if I piss off something that, you know what I mean, that I can't shake? I'm really
I don't even know. You know what? It's not even that for me, Selena. It's like you mentioned that your mom passed away, right?
Right.
So what if, and God bless, I'm sure she's not on this side with us anymore. She's in a better place. But if she were here, would you really want a bunch of 19, 20-year-olds sitting there trying to provoke her? Hey, stupid, we're here to challenge you. You know, if that's your mom, your dad, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, you wouldn't want someone, you know, acting in that manner. No. So you wouldn't want to do it to someone else's family.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So that's why I always try and keep in mind. Look, if I'm in a prison, if I'm in Hitler's bunker in Poland, I might do a little provocation. But,
Yeah.
you know, I stay away from it so much these days for just that reason. You know what I mean? I don't walk down the street and anyone I see, I go up to them and go, hey, can you make a sound? Huh, stupid? You know what I mean? Because I'm a big dude, but I'm not that big. Somebody's gonna punch my card one of these days. So I try and stay away from provocation. Look, there's people who swear by it, and more power to them. You got to try something new and figure out what works for you, but that's not for me.
Yeah, not for me either. And you know, you've been doing this. I was kind of going over YouTube and looking at some of the stuff and watching a little bit of fun stuff that you and Amy Bruni, which I finally got to meet her this year, and she was awesome. And I kind of watched y'all kind of messing around at I believe it was Wolf Manor. And
Wolf Manor, yeah. Good event. I think Chad Kalick was there too.
Yes, he was. Actually, I met Chad here in Dallas when he came with his Blood Red Sky before all his health issues hit him.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, he looks completely different today than he did then. But you know, just watching you and kind of listening to you guys cutting up and stuff, you and I would probably have too much fun investigating together. I get serious when I investigate, but if it needs,
so do I.
If it needs to have a little bit of fun mixed in with it to liven up the energy, I'm all about it. You know, and I think that's. I do have a reputation of being the fun one on an investigation, so I think it would definitely be interesting to investigate with you. And we talked about meeting in Florida to do that. That would be pretty cool.
I got invited to an event in Florida by some buddies of mine. Normally, because of where I'm at, traveling here, there, and everywhere, I'm in Asia, I'm in Europe, I'm in the Middle East, I'm all over the place. I don't do events. I'm trying to put this one event together that these guys invited me to get down to Florida. You know, it's funny because, look, if you watch me on TV, you know, you get this idea that, oh, Robb D, like, man, that guy's so intense, he's so serious. And, yeah, I am. You know what I mean? When I'm investigating, I'm very focused on what I want to do. You know what I mean? Like, and what I want to accomplish for that night. Because, look, you know what? I'm going to tell you, I love to sleep. I love sleeping. So if I'm going to stay up until 6 a.m., I want to get something done. You know what I mean? Like, I want to take a picture. I want to get an EVP. I want to see somebody, you know, see a spirit knock a chair over, whatever it may be. I want to get results. So I stay real focused during the investigation. Once the investigation's over, man, I'm a pain in the backside. You know what I mean? Like, people said, oh, how did you and everyone at Haunting Australia get along? I said, man, I don't know how these people put up with me. I couldn't put up with me. You know, and we were together 24/7 for 5 weeks.
Wow.
I'm a headache. I'm gonna put it that way. I'm a headache. I'm a problem. You know, I can be, because I'm goofing around all the time. Like, if I'm not investigating, it's hard for me to stay serious.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, man, like those guys. Amy's great. Chad's great. I did Wolf Manor a couple times, and actually it was funny because the event didn't have Chad there. And Chad called me up and was like, hey, what's going on? I said, hey, I'm in California. And he actually hopped in the car and drove up to Wolf Manor just to hang out. So he's a good guy.
Yeah, you know, I really enjoyed meeting him, actually. And his film work is really impressive. And I say that because some of the film work that I have seen has not been as impressive. And I really do, you know, look forward to seeing anything that he has his name on. I mean, it's never, you know, crap. That's for sure.
To me, the benchmark is American Ghost Hunter, the movie he did with Ryan that told his story because it was so personal. It was so well done. One of my favorite not even one of my favorite movie documentary involving the paranormal is Chad and Ryan in that one. You know, I know there's a lot of drama involving Ryan these days and this and that, but hey, you know, for me personally, if we're cool, if we're friends, you got to do something pretty bad. You got to spit on my grandma to make it so we're not going to be friends anymore. You know, I stick by the people I stick by.
Right. Well, that's the way I am. That's why I've had my friends since I was, I've been, still talk to all my prom dates, which is amazing. And even my ex-boyfriends from 6th and 8th grade, I still am friends with a lot. I have so many of my friends because I am a loyal friend. And you do really have to screw me over to really make me say, you know what, you are out of my life. I can't do this anymore. And you got to keep good people around you too, though. You know, you got to keep those positive people around you, and you got to keep a positive outlook, or this business can really kick your ass. It's amazing because, you know, I've only had the one documentary with Chip Coffey and the Kling brothers, and you know, nobody really knows a whole lot about it. But needless to say, it was a great experience, and I met a really great man in Chip Coffey when I got to do the project. And it also has opened doors for me that I didn't know could be open. The passion for the paranormal started for you rather young as well, like at 16, is that correct?
16 was first investigation, but I was involved with it before that. My mom has always been a huge interest in everything from UFOs to ghosts to Bigfoot, so I kind of started thumbing through her books. She'd take me around, my sister and I, to the abandoned, supposedly haunted houses in the area, you know, from when I was real young. So it's always been of interest to me. You know, I was 16, I investigated Dudleytown in Connecticut, which is supposed to be, according to the Warrens, one of the most haunted abandoned towns in all of America. Didn't have a lot of weird stuff happen there, but it definitely got my interest going. Now, keep in mind, this was 1991, so I had, like, you know, the disposable camera. I don't even know if those were out yet. You know, I was just basically walking around, like, clicking pictures. I didn't know what I was doing. I just said, all right, where's the ghost? What do you mean? What are you talking about, EVP session? So I got to talk to a recorder, go home, and then listen to it and see if the ghosts were talking to me. Why can't they just talk to me? So there was definitely a learning curve there. I don't know how much I picked up in the years since then, but I hope I'm a little better than I was.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when I first started, you know, it was mainly what I watched on TV, I just tried to duplicate. But when you do it long enough and you start really studying, you know, why these things are happening, possibilities of why these things are happening, let's put it that way, excuse me, you do learn a lot as you go, and you learn a lot, like I said, from different teams and different people. We were talking last night on Eric's show about how there's a lot of discord within the paranormal community, how there's a lot of, you know, competition issues, and it's like, you know, we're all going after the same exact goal, and I know not everyone is going to get along, and not everybody's going to be friends and hold hands and sing Kumbaya, but you know, sharing the information and furthering the study of the field is kind of where I'm at, and I try to really stay out of all the kind of negative kind of stuff, and I know it happens because I've been targeted before for doing the right thing. But right. You know, you just stick to your guns, and you, like you said, you stick to the people you stick by, and you got to keep your head up in this field.
Yeah, I mean, look, here's the thing. You know, there was a well publicized that everyone jumped on the bandwagon. Little quick flare up between me and Zach, and he said what he said, or actually I should say I started it. I said what I say, he said what he said, and everyone said, "Oh, you're against para-unity." I don't think either of us are against para-unity. We had some comments, and comments were made, you know, and leave it at that. But it comes down to, look, if you're using a piece of equipment, and this has nothing to do with Ghost Adventures, this is back to general topic. Right. If you're using a piece of equipment that I think is complete nonsense, and I can prove it, and I say, hey, you might not want to use that, and you go, hey, you're not supporting para-unity. Well, eat me. Then I guess I'm not supporting para-unity. No more para-unity for Robb D then. You know, because to me, if you want to talk about para-unity, what you should talk about is being respectful when you deliver your opinion. And I'm not necessarily the best person, the role model for that, you know what I mean, like after what happened, and that's fine. But what I'm saying is, don't wait until I disagree with you and then say I'm not furthering para-unity. There's a lot of equipment out there today that I think people are fooling themselves. And if I say, well, I don't agree with this piece of equipment, then they say, well, you're not, you're being divisive and you're trying to start drama. All right, fine, I'm trying to start drama then, because you got to understand, for me, I don't do this for fans. I don't do this for fame. I don't do this for money. I do this for me. I do this because I want to know, before I switch to the other side, what's on the other side.
Exactly.
So I don't need to answer to anybody. And I was telling someone the other day who had a little para-drama themselves, I said, yo, dude, you answer to you, and if you believe in God, then you answer to God. You are not responsible to anyone else. You know what I mean? So for me, hey, they say you get 15 minutes of fame. My 15 minutes of fame were over years ago. I'm just like everybody else now. You know what I mean? I just do it in different countries.
Right.
I just take a jet to get to an investigation. You know what I mean? But I'm no better or any worse necessarily than anyone else out there doing it.
Right. And that's exactly right. That's nail on the head. I was going to ask you too, in all of your travels, which God knows you've had so many, and how cool is that to have been to castles and things that you've been to. You have complete dream jobs sometimes on some locations, like you said, others not so much. Have you ever in your whole entire time had any type of experience with doppelgangers?
Not me personally.
Okay.
But there was a case, I don't want to put names out there because they're not the ones telling the story, but I was there. There was a case in New Zealand where there was a photograph taken by someone of someone. Can I get any more vague? There was a picture taken of someone during the investigation, and when you looked at the picture, you could see the investigator, and then next to them, the face of of the same investigator, but looking completely different. They say, oh, it's transconfiguration and da-da-da. I say, hey, I don't know about all that Harry Potter terminology, but it was pretty weird. It wasn't like double. It wasn't like a face and then the same face. You'd say, oh, it's like an exposure issue. There was two faces of the same person. They looked different. But it wound up, I don't think it was even on the show because, they want to keep things in terms you can understand.
Yeah.
So you say doppelganger, you say transconfiguration, you say all these things, and people go, what the hell's that got to do with the EVP? And where's the EMF and all that? So if you don't keep it in terms that the public understands and the TV producers, they don't want to get too crazy. They want to keep it basic. So yeah, we had something weird happen in New Zealand with that. Me personally, there's only one Robb D. Nobody copies that.
Well, the reason I ask is because that was one of the experiences that catapulted me even further into wanting the answers, is because I saw my best friend's doppelganger. And it was 2 days before he went in the hospital, and he never came back out. And it freaked my freak so bad that I have not yet still determined how in the hell that even occurs. I have not even the slightest idea.
I hate to jump in on you, but that's something that I've been interested in for some time. Do you know that apparitions, a couple hundred years ago, there was almost as many reports of apparitions of the living as there was of the dead? Wow. In England, people would say, oh yes, Jonathan, walked through my room at 8. Turns out Jonathan was sick in hospital 200 miles away and died at 8:30. So when he was seen, he was still alive, but there's no way he could have been there. And you don't hear about those kind of cases very much anymore. So you bring up what used to be a very prevalent idea in the paranormal of someone being seen in two places at once who has not passed on, and you just don't hear about it very often.
Wow. Yeah, it completely blew me away because my friend had stage 4 lung cancer. He had 1/8 of a lung left. He could not move hardly at all. I was downstairs, he was upstairs, and I swear to you, as I'm sitting here today, he was standing in my doorway staring at me. And he was never a weird dude like that, you know, where he would come and just stare at you.
He wasn't a starer.
No, he wasn't a freak or anything like that. He was just real laid back kind of guy, you know. And when I said, you know, Kenny, are you okay? Because he was on, you know, morphine. And and I just thought he kind of wandered downstairs for some weird reason, and it didn't say anything to me. And I said, dude, are you okay? And it kind of really slowly just turned away from the door jamb and just kind of started walking away. And I mean, I immediately jumped up and went after him, and there was nothing there. And I know what I saw.
You used to hear about cases like that all the time. I mean, not modern, but I'm saying go read books from like turn of the century, 1900s, and those were the kind of ghost cases that were being talked about all the time. Now, we only think about, well, the person couldn't be a ghost because they hadn't died yet, and yet it happens. You get all these cases of people who are still alive being 100 miles away saying goodbye to their loved ones in the form of an apparition.
Yeah.
But you just don't hear about it anymore. So what you experienced is not uncommon in general. It just seems to be less and less common now.
Yeah. Well, I was kind of scared to even say anything to him because when I went up to check on him, I mean, the doppelganger that I saw had a sweatshirt on, sweatpants on, like he always wore. And when I went upstairs, he had to like sit in kind of Indian style and kind of lean on his couch because he couldn't lay down. He had no shirt on. He did have his sweatpants on, but there's no way the man could have moved in 2 seconds from one floor to the next and been in that, you know, position. And he knew by looking at my face, I'd known the man since I was 18 years old. He knew by looking at me that I just got the shit scared out of me somehow. And he was like, girl, what is wrong with you? And I just kept saying, promise me you didn't see that. Promise me you didn't see that. Because I knew what that kind of meant.
Right.
And I didn't want my friend dying on me in the middle of the night. And so I couldn't even sleep. I sat and stared at the door for, I swear to God, it was like 2.5 hours, just freaked out. Like, is it going to come back? And I'd already seen the team and all that, so I was really wanting to know then what in the hell, how the hell that happened. You know what I mean? So it's a big interest for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not one of those things that you can necessarily go out and investigate.
No.
Because by the time it's happened, it's not going to happen again. It's not the kind of thing like, it's not a residual haunting.
No.
You know, so if you didn't see it, you're not going to wait around and see it again.
No, and let me just tell you, my friend, our mutual friend Kenny and I's, Matt, he has given me nothing but teetotal shit ever since it's happened. Because I'm like, dude, I know what I saw, and he's like, yeah, whatever, and I'm like, man, I'm telling you, and so nobody believes me, but I'm telling you, it changed me, like nothing else has. I mean, losing my mom was one thing, but when you see your best friend standing there and then 2 days later he's in the hospital and then a week or two later he's dead, it kind of does something to you. So I'm extremely interested in the doppelganger thing. So of all the places that you've been to, what is the one experience that actually stands out to you? I know there's got to be a few at least, but
yeah, there's a couple. You know, I'm trying. You know, because they all stand out for different reasons, isn't it? You know, there was when you're on. You know, I did that show for 3-4 years. You know what I mean? And we were on the road for 5 weeks at a time. We shot and shot and shot and shot. You know, it's not like being in the States where you drive from one town to the next. We flew from Australia to Ireland. So. Wow. There's all kinds of moments where I'm just trying to think, I mean, there was, when we were in Clark Air Force Base Hospital in the Philippines, Barry and I were standing in an empty hallway. And I forget who said it, either Barry or myself said it, soldiers, we know you're there, step forward. And it sounded like 4 or 5 guys in heavy boots marching towards us down this empty hallway. So that one definitely stuck with me. The disembodied voices, we were doing a priest, a place where all these priests live down in South America, myself and Paul Bradford on GHI. And I said, nothing was happening. It was kind of a slow evening. And I said, okay, so you've passed on. Can you tell me where I'm going after I die? And we get an EVP that says, to hell. I said, whoa, whoops.
Oh, my.
It's just, I don't even, we did, 40 episodes, 2 locations an episode. When we did Haunting Australia, the last show I did, there was some moments that stuck out to me. I was investigating with a psychic, a British psychic named Ian Lawman, and I was alone in a prison cell, and we wanted to try that. It was almost like good cop. The cell. I'm going to close the door. Ian, I want you to call if you can you bring something, tell something to come in the cell with me? And he goes, okay, yeah, we'll try it, mate. And then he goes outside, and I saw this shadow rise in the corner, and I'm 6'4", and this thing was towering over me, just hovering there in front of me in this closed prison cell.
Oh.
And I wasn't afraid, but I was like, I'm just staring at it. Because people say, we saw a shadow figure. One of the hardest things to document, 2 things are really hard to document in ghost hunting. For people who haven't done it, I'm going to tell you what they are. The Robb D 2 list of really hard things to document well. Number 1, footsteps. Footsteps, our ear can pick them up pretty easily, but our recorders aren't meant for such a low frequency because they sound like this, right? Then you play the recording back, and you hear nothing. And you go, man, I heard those footsteps so clearly, I can't believe we didn't get it. Number 2, shadows. You see a shadow moving, so you aim your camera with a light at it and try and take a picture. Guess what? No more shadow. So that was something that happened with Haunting Australia. When I was using a device, Danny's device, EchoVox, when I was doing Seekers over in Malaysia.
Yeah, I saw that.
And, I turned it on, and the thing said, Rob, and I said, yeah, I'm here. Do you need something? And a woman's voice said, help. And I said, okay, well, what do you want me to do? What can I do to help you? And this little girl's voice said, die. I was like, whoa, blue. The funny thing is I said, wow, I'm going to take a breather. I turned off the EchoVox, and the producer, they watch, the way they make that show, the producers watch everything that's going on from a camera bank, like a quarter mile away, but they're watching and monitoring. So my walkie comes on, and the producer says, Rob, what you doing? I say, hey, what's up? Not doing anything. He goes, turn the device back on, the noise machine back on. And I said, hey, that thing just told me it wants me to die. You come turn it back on. He said, I'm not the ghost hunter. I said, okay then, point taken. And I turned it back on. So look, there's those moments where you feel like there's such direct communication going on that it's incredible. Unfortunately, many of the big occurrences are when you feel like it's something dangerous. I had an experience where there was supposed to be the spirit of a little girl ghost. I think it was in Argentina. And I said, can you, sweetie, can you take my hand? And all of a sudden it felt really cold around my hand. And so why doesn't that come up on the top of my list of experiences when I think back of all the places I've gone? And it's probably because it wasn't menacing. We remember those moments where we said, ooh, that was spooky.
Yeah.
There's something sweet and heartwarming happens. We kind of go, oh, that was neat, and move on.
Right. Well, in New Orleans, when I was just down there for an event at the Andrew Jackson, I was down there with the guys from Deep South Paranormal, Kevin and Randy, really cool guys, and then Chris Melanson. And I had been in a room with 5 other women, one being a medium, another being an empath, such as myself, and then there was a lady, an older lady there, who actually could speak French. And she was like, "Oui, oui, baby," and all this stuff. And I was like, I don't even give a damn what she's saying. That's pretty hot. And the next thing I know, we were having activity with a little boy. There was the little boys that died in a fire there, and there was also a little boy that fell over a stairwell and fell to his death. This I felt for the first time. I felt spirits move by me, touch me. I can feel the temperature drop and stuff like that, you know, things like that I've felt before. We were all sitting Indian style on the floor, and this little spirit boy sat right next to me on the right-hand side of me after I told him that I have a son. I guess, I don't know what it was. Animals and spirits are always like, I'm a ghost magnet, I guess. He sat right next to me, and I had my hand kind of on my knee or whatever, and I go, okay, my whole entire pinky and, like, you know, my 4th finger got really, really cold, like he was holding my hand. That sticks out to me because that was amazing. The periscope that I had sitting right there, it also went off, so it was like a validation that, because definitely in New Orleans, when we were there, it was not cold. There was no drafts to be had. So it was a definite spirit sitting next to me, and that sticks out with me, and I thought that was so sweet that he tried to hold my hand. But things like that, things like, you know, get out, you're going to die, things like that, definitely stick out in one's memory.
I mean, I remember doing, in New Orleans, I did a crack house that used to be a brothel. It had been a pharmacy. It had been a heroin den. But it was like a public event thing. I wasn't, you know, this was pre-GHI. I just thought, I'll tag along, see what they're up to. And they got this guy with dowsing rods. And he's got what we were doing, because the whole time, and he's from New York like myself, and he's going, can you tell me who's going to win the Knicks game tomorrow? Will the Rangers beat the spread against the Islanders? Dude, you are not getting what's going on, what we're trying to accomplish here. So it was just the irony of, because it was supposed to be this I guess, pimp, this dark entity who was haunting the building. And he's asking him, how many 3-pointers is he going to shoot tomorrow? How's his ankle? I couldn't stop laughing. I was like, wow, I guess. And, you know, look, when you do these public events, right, like, nobody wants to say, you know, they just want people to have a good time.
Right.
It got to a point where I said, wow, you know, like, time for me to get some sleep before this guy finds out who he should bet on.
That's funny. I love the ones. Excuse me. Oh man, I've been sick for a week, so I'm trying to get out. Anyway, I love the ones where the public events where they have the ovuluses, and every word that comes out of the ovulus, they try to make a story to it.
Of course they do.
We were at Duff Green.
That's how it's designed. Come on.
We were at Duff Green, and, you know, it's Civil War. Robert E. Lee's ancestors actually own it. I'm actually supposedly a descendant of Robert E. Lee, but it's like, who isn't? Because that man actually spread his love quite a bit.
He loved everyone.
He did, didn't he? But, you know, at this location, we had this guy with an ovulus, and he was like, everything it would say, like it said something like steel. And he'd go, oh, did you make the weapons for the war? And then it said factory. Oh, did you work in the weapons factory down? I mean, it was just like
Look,
everything. And I can't stand that.
The thing is, I'm going to make my own, right? I'm going to make my own version of the Ovulus. But understand that the Ovulus has, 2,000 words in it. And they're words that are going to be like suicide, murder, death, blood. I'm going to make my own, and it's only going to say kitten, rainbow, spoon, just so I can go to an event and watch people, because, they want to get it all intense. All right, well, this is a room where she murdered her husband, and then it's gonna be like sunshine. Yeah. Woof, woof. Oh,
Yeah.
Were you barking mad when you killed him? That's what it's saying, barking mad. I mean, look, it's no secret that I don't like the Ovulus.
Yeah.
And look, I don't want to single out Bill Chappell, who made the Ovulus. I love that the guy is trying new things.
Right.
And he's a nice enough guy. I've talked to him on Facebook before. So I'm not knocking him. I'm saying, and he says himself, look, this is for entertainment. Whether it talks to ghosts, I don't know.
Right.
But I don't like the spirit box, quote unquote spirit box. Look, let's call it what it is. Then we can debate it. It's a scanning radio.
Right.
Don't call it a spirit box. Call it a scanning radio, and then we can talk about the validity. Because anyone I talk to, they say, oh, you don't believe in the spirit box? Oh, yeah? Well, how do you explain one time? And then they tell me a story, and I go, look, even a broken watch is right twice a day. Zing!
Yeah.
And so, look, whether you agree with me or don't, I'm okay with that. You can say, what do you know? You don't know. I had the Ovulus, and it said, hey, how you doing? Want to go see a movie? That's great. If it works for you, fantastic. I'm not on a mission to try and get people to use the equipment I approve of, because you know what? I don't care.
Right.
Use whatever makes you happy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just don't try and, don't send me your orb photos. Don't ask me to listen to your spirit box session, because I'm not interested.
Right.
And look, people message me and they go, and this is a true story. My grandmother passed away last week, and I came home and I took these pictures, and you can see there's orbs in them.
Right. Yeah.
Now, wait a second. Well, because now I'm supposed to say, that's not your grandmother? I don't want to, I'm going to be the guy that has to dash the hope and love and feeling like everything's okay with the universe. That's got to be me.
Right.
So I always say, look, I'm not big on the orb theory, but if you believe this is communication, then it just might be. I'm not the judge and jury. There are no experts.
So, but you do like the Echo Box, what Danny's put together. You do like his product, right?
I think that almost anything, I use the Echo Box here and there. I've used, he put up the segment, I used it on Seekers. I think everything is worthy of experimentation. Have I had if you said to me right now, you have to go down a list of paranormal products and tell you which one, I couldn't do it.
Right.
Because it's all a big guessing game. So some people, have I had some interesting things with the Echo Box? Absolutely. Can I swear to you that it's talking to ghosts? Absolutely not. But is it worth a try? Sure. Try a scanning radio. See if it works for you. Try the Ovulus. Try whatever you want. You know what I mean? I'm not the judge of what is and what isn't good. But I'm allowed to have my opinion. And if you don't agree with me and you get mad at me because we don't agree on the same thing, I don't give a.
Yeah.
I don't care. You know what I mean? Like listen, I'm not a young man anymore. There's these people coming up who were raised on shows that came on when I was in my 30s.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I'm getting too old to argue with a 22-year-old who knows everything about the paranormal because they watched a couple shows.
Exactly. Yeah. It's funny, I'm saying that is that I've watched all y'all for years, including
Yeah.
Chip. And when I met Chip, I was so starstruck at first, and then when I realized he's just a regular guy, you know, and I've met and I've kind of, I don't know, kind of made my own judgments about some people, and some people are like, oh, I'm not real sure about. The one thing I know is that you know, Chip will always kind of watch out for me and tell me, you got to watch out for this guy, or, you know, he never really says anything like that, but, you know, I would be, I don't know, I guess grateful to him forever for kind of guiding me as he does. And with you, I like how you shoot straight from the hip. You don't.
I do my
don't
best.
Worry about it.
You know, did you ever see? You want to see some great Chip Coffee footage that you've probably never seen before?
Sure.
You're like, whatever, dude. I don't even know where this interview's going anymore. Whatever, Rob. I created, believe it or not, even though they'll dispute it, I created the Real Fear specials for the Chiller channel.
Oh, wow.
And we were going to do an experiment at Pennhurst.
Yes.
So I hopped on Facebook and I said, Chip, what is the possibility of getting you to Pennhurst? And he said, well, you better make sure I get a 12-pack of Coke.
Exactly.
And it better be in my hotel room when I get there. I said, that's it? He said, oh, that's about it. If you want me to come out and help out, I'm happy to do it. And he did it. And the producers came to me and they said, man, thank you, Rob. Thank you for bringing Chip. He was fantastic. It made for just such an incredible segment. And it was actually reuniting Chip and Katrina from Paranormal State for the first time since the end of Paranormal State on the Real Fear special, the second Real Fear special.
Yes,
I was really proud of both of those. We made two-hour specials, and it's just so different. You know, we had John Zaffis on there. Obviously we had Chip, which was a highlight. We had one of my friends who was the same segment that Chip was on, one of my buddies, Dr. Ed Modestino, who was a brain expert, doctorate in brain neurology, had him on there, and he was terrific and explained things and broke it down in ways that you just don't see on many of these shows. I don't know where you can find it these days, but to everyone out there listening, if you want some entertaining television, there's Real Fear. It aired on the Chiller channel. Katrina, John Zaffis, Chip Coffee. You won't see me on it, but I was behind the cameras and quite proud of how it turned out. That's my pitch for this broadcast.
I know I've seen it, trust me, and they are very good. I would love to meet Katrina Weidman, and I have been almost stalking John Zaffis to be on my show for I don't know how long, and I was told don't give up on him. He's just very busy. So I'm glad I didn't have to stalk you too much, and I am so glad.
All you had to do was give me a T-shirt, man. I don't hide the fact. Listen, you know, I got these people say, hey, Rob, he's a has-been. You damn right I'm a has-been. I'm not on TV right now. If you give me a T-shirt, I'll do your radio show. And as you know, remind me 16 times, and I'll be on time.
Exactly, and he was right on time. And, man, I really appreciate you taking your time out and doing this for me.
Oh, no problem. No problem at all.
I can't wait to see your projects that you can't talk about.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, I don't hold myself above anyone else. Yeah, I was on a TV show, but 2 years ago there was 50 ghost hunting shows. Which means you say about 6 people per show. There's about 300 of us who were on these shows here and there, right? My ghost story had another 1,000 people on it. Yeah. So do I consider myself like some Paris celeb? Heck no. You know, maybe back in the day, a couple of years ago, but not anymore. I'm a ghost hunter. I'm flattered that people still want to hear me run my mouth.
Well, you know what? Anytime, dude, anytime. And I appreciate it.
There you go.
And I hope to meet you in Florida, and let's do some ghost hunting together.
You got it. You got it. Keep an eye. I'm trying to get the event put together. It's going to be in October. I know everyone's booked all kinds of crazy stuff for October, but if you've never been to a Robb D event, they're okay. You see, I wanted to hype it up, but I don't know if anything's going to happen. You know, at least you get to hang out with Robb D. You know, he likes to eat a lot and sleep. Anyway, Selena, thank you for being on. I know it's still a little early and over there, so have a terrific weekend, and thanks again.
All right, you too, Rob. Take it easy, man. Talk to you soon. And
Take
your
care.
T-shirt's on its way.
All right, bye.
All right.
All right.
All right, that was Robb D, man. I hope y'all enjoyed that. It had to be pre-recorded again because of the time difference, and this will air after the Dakota event. So the only things that I really have to talk about are Phantom Fest, which is in San Antonio, September 26th and 27th. Get your tickets now. And October 3rd through the 5th is Mississippi Parafest. Other than that, I would like to thank my sponsors, who are Miss Hattie's Place in Belton, Texas, a really cool old bordello with lots of history. Next is the Galena's Murder Bordello in Galena, Kansas, which I will see you guys there Saturday, August 16th. This will probably be after this airs. And NOLA Ghost Hunting Tours is my last sponsor. Other than that, I appreciate you watching me and Robb D chit chat. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And that's it. Peace out.
It was heavy.
Yes.
It was a beast. So the new one is incredible. It's, you know, it's not much heavier than an iPad.
Right.
You know, and it's an incredible device as far as being able to document where everything is in the room. For those of you who haven't seen it, check out Paranologies.com, TriCam. It's got one camera aiming at you, the investigator, two looking forward to give you a 180-degree view of everything in front of you. Great for investigation as far as knowing where everyone is, being able to document there was no one else present. So obviously, I'm always a big fan of Paranologies and what they're putting out.
Yeah, definitely. I used to help put those little periscopes and stuff together with Jeremy, and then when he moved away, I was like, dude, that is just so far for me to drive. And now he's updated everything, so I couldn't tell you the first thing about what goes in a periscope anymore because he keeps changing it, and we like it like that. You have to stay updated.
You really do.
Yeah, you have to, because if not, you're behind the times. You're still messing with, an old K2, and that's about it. Let's update. Let's try some new scientific ways of finding out their location or their movements or whatever. I love.
Don't get me started, Selena. Don't get me going on people just doing the same thing over and over and over.
Yeah.
That'll be your entire show, is just me complaining about people doing the same old thing. I'm telling you, there's a lot of people out there. I like to start a radio interview and make sure I offend people right off the bat. There's a lot of people out there, we'll make it akin to fishing. These people are going out fishing, they got their latest reel, and it's beautiful, and it's shiny, and it looks great, and they go out on the lake, and they can see the fish jumping, and they tie a rock to the end of that line. They hook a rock on, and then they throw it in the water, and they say, there's no ghost here, or there's no fish here. Because they put a rock on the end. If you're using equipment that doesn't work, you are the one making the mistake.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if it's like fishing, you tried a rock, you tried tying a spoon to the end of the line, no fish bit that, you got to keep trying something new.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's one of my biggest complaints about investigators out there, is a lot of them just go do the same thing over and over.
Right.
And then they're confused why we don't get anywhere.
That's why I've changed my I got really tired of, and I'm not knocking anybody because to each his own, I'm just saying that I got really tired of asking the same questions. It's like we have this, the spirits have got to get sick of, what's your name? When did you die? What did you die from?
Can you knock twice?
Yeah. Let's scratch on something. It's just the same crap, and it gets boring to me. And I'm too ADD to be sitting there doing the same shit. So I have to switch it up a little bit. And what I've done is now, okay, I can't help Billy Bob that died in 1915. Okay, I'm sorry, and I'm glad I'm speaking with Billy Bob. But can you tell me what it's like where you're at? How was the journey to get there? Do you get to see your loved ones? Things like that I want to know. You know what I mean? I want to know how all this happens.
Those coming up. The irony is I can't really say much about any of them.
Wow. Yeah, I'm going to have to kill you.
Huh?
They'd have to kill you.
You've heard about these networks, huh?
I have.
They're pretty tough.
Have. Yes. I actually.
Yeah. So in the meantime, what I'm doing is, just trying to make sure that my equipment is up to snuff. I just had a couple grand worth of gear arrive yesterday, so I'm still putting batteries in it. And, I wish my house was haunted. It would make things so much easier.
Yes, to test.
You know what I mean? Like, you get all this equipment, and you just wander around with it. Yeah, okay, the K2 meter goes off by the TV, so I guess it works, but anyway, what can you do?
Yeah, so let me guess. Did you get a lot of Paranologies equipment when you got that all yesterday?
Say again?
Did you get some Paranologies equipment in with that good stuff?
Paranologies I got was about 75% of it, actually. What happened was, when I shot Haunting Australia, I had a big order from Paranologies, and it got bounced around between like 4 countries before it got to me. And it took a beating. And so I wasn't able to use as much of it as I wanted to. So I said, for the next round. And the good thing is a lot of the stuff that I ordered for Haunting Australia has been updated. There's even newer versions. He's got a device, as you know, called the TriCam, which the TriCam I used to have. It's a good thing I'm in the gym every day, because that thing was...
Everybody, thanks for joining me. I'm Selena Rohn, your host of Close to Death, powered by Fear Paranormal Society. And tonight, I have been awaiting this guest for quite a while. It's kind of tough with the time differences that we're in. But without further ado, I'd like to bring on my guest, Robb Demarest. Hey, Robb, what's up?
What's going on? What is up? I'm trying to turn off my fountain, because otherwise everyone asks if I'm peeing during an interview, which I try not to do. All right. And on that note, how's everyone doing?
Everyone, I think, is excited that you are on. And just for everyone to know, this has to be pre-recorded because of the time difference. And we're not going to tell you where Robb is. It is a very much of a secret. So I wanted to say that, first off, he's been on Ghost Hunters, Destination Truth, Ghost Hunters International, Haunting Australia. What are you up to right now?
Right now, just sitting on my couch. I was checking... Oh, no. You meant like more in general terms.
Exactly.
No, I did Haunting Australia. I finished that last year. I've got a couple... Exactly. And that's whether it's your EVP approach, whether it's the equipment you use, whether it's the locations you choose, my message stays the same. Try something different.
Yeah. I mean... anything, trigger objects, error cues, whatever works, but don't do the same thing. And
is that what you guys call them in Texas? Error cues? Because I remember when we did the exact same thing on GHI about a year before that, and we called it Singapore theory. Hey!
Really?
I like starting a little... Hey, I'm not one to shy away from para beef these days, apparently, so, that one always... Look, I met the Kling brothers. I think they're great guys. Singapore theory, I believe Barry Fitzgerald first did it in New Zealand in like 2007, and people have been doing it for like 20 years, and it's just trying to make the environment something that the spirit might recognize. And the reason it was called Singapore theory was because SPI, Singapore Paranormal Investigators, were doing it at a Ford factory in Singapore. And I read about it, and I told Barry about it, and we tried it on GHI. So anyway, 5 minutes later, Singapore theory predates error cues, and there was a million people doing it before us, too.
Huh. Oh, well, that's interesting to know.
Huh.
Wow, you learn something new every day.
I know.
The funny thing is that I started watching after when my paranormal interest was peaked was after my mom passed away, and then I started, I was depressed, and so I spent Friday nights. That's